Hello. Is everyone ready? We're a minute late.
You need the gavel, it's right.
The gavel's downstairs, just bang on it.
I don't have the authority. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today for the Department of Public Works and the Parks Department budgets. I'm Mark Reitzer. With me is Len Marucci, the supervisor of the Streets Department, Chris Hackett, the supervisor of the Fleet Department, and Dan Stone, supervisor of the Parks Department. So there's a lot to cover, so I'm gonna kind of just move. If anybody wants to stop and ask any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. I'm gonna go as best I can in order of account. So the first one will be the engineering account, account number 1440. So I'm gonna do my best to just sort of hit kind of the highlights and the changes in each account number. So to start off, the salaries are about the same. We're still currently looking for one more engineer to replace Len, who moved out of the engineering department at the end of September. A lot of the rest of this particular budget has stayed flat. We had a computer charge for a plotter in this account that was removed, and you'll be voting on tonight for the engineering department, as our plotter has failed and can't be replaced. So that's kind of all I have for this particular page. Is there any questions on that?
Is Schlemmer's buyout in here, or is he gone?
He's gone, and he would have been in the streets department. So the supervisors of each of the departments are in their own specific.
Okay.
This is just the engineers. So this is my salary, our administrative assistant, and then our three engineers that we have on staff, as well as the utilities for 145 Steel Street, and then any associated computer programs or subscriptions or anything like that we have.
You have some questions on utilities.
Mhm.
It says like 10% increase and different numbers here, 0% increase, but there's huge increases here.
Those are my numbers, even though they're in Works Department, they came from Kevin Carr at BPU. So the electric is projected to be 9.75% is what they told me, is what he told me.
So I know especially if you look at the national fuel one, which is 411, natural gas, I should say. It went from 8,000 last year to 26,000. And I think that's partially because some of the utilities were moved from another account into this account. But I didn't notice that until today, and I haven't had a chance to kind of track it down. I believe in the 1510 account, I think there's no utilities in there anymore, and I think that's where those may have come from. But Erica and I were looking for that.
It should be a wash down.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, except for the increases, yeah. So the next account is 1620, which is City Hall. Again, we kind of have our two same returning employees in that department. You see the utilities increased by rates from the BPU. The building maintenance section of that budget, we broke out the custodial services that are for this building out of that account. Well, not out of it, we just highlighted it out of that account, which is a contract price. We also have separate line items for building maintenance for the 3 ramps. Those went up in the budget this year because the costs, last year was the first year we actually broke those out. They used to just be in the city hall budget. But we noticed a lot more charges in those accounts, so we broke them out last year. And we went a bit over budget on 2 of the 3 of them, so we increased those accounts. And what's included in those building maintenance accounts are elevator inspections, any lights or agreements for like snow melt, any equipment replacements that we need to do. There was a couple of cases of vandalism where there was glass broken and a glass door broken on each of the two ramps, and then there was some damage to the elevator as well. So all of those types of basic, maintenance come out of these accounts. Moving on to the next one is Central Garage, 1640. So this is our department down on Washington Street. So something I want to highlight in this budget is you will see the set salaries for, in this case, all the mechanics, but then there are allocations to different accounts. So some of the larger operations that we do, so snow and ice control, leaf collection, tree maintenance, those types of things, the different divisions will have salaries taken out of their main account and put into separate accounts. That way it helps us track how much we actually spend on those different operations within a given year, and you'll see those later on in the budget. So again, Chris Hackett does a really good job of keeping an eye on his budget. He spends a lot of time making sure he gets the lowest prices on parts and all that sort of things. One of the larger increases in this budget would be the fuel charge. And we noticed we were a bit high this year, and that's because we had a more of a normal winter than normal. So we spent a lot more in fuel during plowing and salting operations than we had in years previous. So we increased that budget a little bit. The next one would be the equipment repair parts. We've just noticed a increase, like everything, increased in parts. We need to get more of them because our equipment is aging. We're noticing some tariff implications in this area, especially. So that's why that one went up. Kind of the same with tires and tubes for the larger equipment. We have a few bigger pieces of equipment that need tires next year that we know and are planning for. Another thing I want to highlight is the equipment repairs pass-through. So ever since 2017, 2018, the fleet department has really grown. We've done a lot more work for the other departments in the city. They used to solely be the mechanics for the parks department and for the DPW. But since that time, they have spent a lot more time on whether it's BPU equipment, fire equipment, police, and so that's what this number is. We put that labor gets passed through to those other departments. Other than that, another change would be building maintenance. So obviously we're in the new building on Washington Street. Out of this account comes a lot of, whether it's we need a repair on a door, there's a couple of old doors from the old building that are glass, garage doors, big garage doors, that we're looking to replace for next year to something a little more suitable for a garage. Does anyone have any questions on any of that?
I think we covered it last year. What was the food for? I know we talked about it.
So a lot of times, a couple of mechanics will have to take a piece of equipment to somewhere to have something specialty done that we can't do in-house.
I know that.
And if it's in like Rochester or something like that, they have a long way to drive,
Yeah.
they stop and we pay for their lunch.
Okay. Another thing, are we at salt usage yet, or?
No, not yet. We'll get there.
We're headed there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Okay. So the next account would be maintenance of streets, so 5110. this department, similar to the fleet department, has allocations to snow and ice, to leaves. It also has storm sewer and street sweeping allocations from the salary lines. This is the spot where Mark Schlemmer, his salary used to be, but now Len Marucci has taken over for him. We only know of one retirement in this department for next year. So kind of moving down the list a little bit to the 400 accounts. We have our contractual service line item. That's where we buy a lot of, topsoil, gravel, concrete, just miscellaneous materials for sort of daily operations. We also have brick rehabs, blacktop patching, ADA ramps, miscellaneous curb and sidewalk repairs, crack sealing, chip sealing, and slurry seal. These are all maintenance items that get paid out of the city budget. A lot of our larger construction projects and Nova Chip and Mill and Paves are reimbursed by chips, but we still do a lot of work, whether it's sidewalk blocks here and there or pieces of curb that have been damaged that cannot be reimbursed by chips. So that's where a lot of that money comes from for this. I don't know if it's on.
This looks like where the utilities came from and shipped it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, so if you go to 411, go to 28,000 from last year, it's not there anymore. So yeah, I think that's what happened is these utilities got moved into that other account on this budget. But Eric and I will talk about if we wanted to stay that way or if we want to go back to how it was last year. Another one of the increases would be the 0443, the chemicals section. So this is previously when the fleet department was over at 155 Steel Street, they would purchase a lot of the chemicals and then the streets department would use them as they need them. But since they are down on Washington Street now, away from 155 Steel, the streets department has been including in their budget chemicals. So the two big ones that we spend money on are the asphalt release agent, which is we get like the big cubes of it, and they're about $5,000 each, and we go through 2 of those a year. And then the other one is an orange blossom cleaner, which is close to, for a 55-gallon drum, it's close to $3,000 or $4,000. So those are the big expenses, and that's on top of any grease or oils or that sort of thing that we buy for just daily operations and maintenance.
Traffic signs, now, under the signs, is some of that increase due to the odd and even alternate parking?
No, so there's a separate traffic division.
Okay.
I think I might have missed it. That where those signs are covered under. I think I missed my. I'll have to look. I think I might have skipped traffic. Oh, yeah, that's the name of it. 31? Yeah, I did. Yes, I do. Okay, I'll do that one. So those signs are under the traffic division. Now I'll have to go backwards. I skipped that one, sorry. So, 5110 to 457, building maintenance. This is the building maintenance for both 145 steel and 155. We increased that a little bit because we've been having some issues with our boilers over there. And we anticipate that we'll have some repairs at the end of this year going into next year on those. Hopefully they're minor, but we're still working out what's involved in that. So I'm gonna go backwards to 3310, which is the traffic control department. So this is where any traffic signs, the alternate street parking signs, we included all of that stuff in the budget for 2025 last year. So that's not included in this.
And the new one, yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, you can see, equipment repair parts, so 430. Replacement signs, posts, and parts, that's gone down 7,800, in part because we increased it last year for that alternate parking project.
Mhm.
So it's lower, for 2026 than it was 2025. Other than that, this budget's mostly flat, like it was, or, similar to how it was in 2025.
Except for the one retirement buyout.
Oh, yes, you're right, there's one, the supervisor of that department, is gonna be retiring in August or September of next year. So that will be one person leaving, and we'll have to fill back in with a new employee. So next account is 5142, which is snow and ice control. So this is the first one of the budgets where salaries from a different department are moved into a specific operation. So you see, last year, the budget for this department was around 800,000. We increased that to just over $1 million for 2026. Because again, we noticed we had more of what we would call a normal winter last year, so we had a lot more time. The plowing started earlier and it ended later than we anticipated. There's no real cost difference because the salaries are the salaries, but we're just trying to track a little closer. The big item for this budget is the 400, the contractual service. So that account includes plows and chains, some of the material we need for the brine system, as well as salt. So from last winter to this winter, the price of our salt has increased 41%, from
That's what I heard.
$49 a ton to $69 a ton.
Is that going through the county
Yes.
pricing?
That's what everybody in Chautauqua County is gonna pay this year. Yep. So, that's a substantial increase for us.
Yeah.
The account went up, $550 to help accommodate for that, but we as a department requested more than that, but this was, what we were allocated. The way that the salt works is that we, request a certain amount of salt, so a certain tonnage of salt. We have to buy 50% of it, and then we have the option to buy up to 130% of it. So depending on how the winter is, it can change quite a bit how much salt you
How
actually
did it
use.
go last year? Did we have to get extra?
No, so we bought up to our maximum amount we were allowed to. And then we were, trying to stretch it out with sand for a while.
Yeah.
You don't really wanna do that all winter
No,
because,
goes into the,
cause the sand is dirty, it doesn't melt away, then it goes into your drainage systems, and then you have to clean the drainage systems. So we try not to do that. But our barn is about, 2/3 to 3/4 full right now,
that's what I was gonna ask.
which is good. But obviously we'll still need to order more salt
Yeah.
at some point. But we have a good head start. We didn't use everything we were allotted last year, and we bought everything we could. so.
Yeah, I know you did, yeah. You talked to
Maybe it won't snow.
We don't. Okay, so the next one is leaf collection. This account is basically the same year over year, because we haven't really spent any money in it yet, because leaf collection starts on Monday. Just so you know, it's starting at Foot Ave, at the south side of Foot Ave, and going on the east side of the city first this year. So people will start to see leaf collection on Monday of next week, November 3rd, I believe.
It starts on the south side and goes to the west.
It starts on the south, it goes east, up and around, all the way to Washington, I believe.
Yeah.
And then back down to the south and to Washington.
I know.
You can go on the city website and we have a map up
I see
that
that.
shows where that is. It takes us about 2 to 2.5 weeks to do a loop of the whole city,
Depending on the weather.
depending on if it snows, depending on if it's raining, all that kind of
Then
stuff.
you try to do another round if it doesn't
Yes,
snow?
if it doesn't snow, we'll go back and we'll do another round. Yeah.
There's people asking.
Yes. Yeah. If it's snowing and we're plowing, then obviously we're not collecting.
I know.
Account 5182 is street lighting. This, again, just reflects the probable utility rate increase for electric and district heat. Now we're into the Parks Department, 7110. Again, so this account in the salaries department, you'll have allocations for snow and ice control, tree trimming, and the stadium, which we'll get to later. Utilities show the increases, just like the rest of them. A lot of this department is also, Flat Dan does a really good job of going out when we have projects that, you know, are interest to the community, does a really good job of going out and finding alternate sources for some of those projects. The couple of items that I would like to highlight are the 496, so flags and banners. As you can see, we've spent $9,577 this year. We had a $10,000 budget last year, and even with that amount, we needed a donation from the Veterans Committee, is that right? Veterans Committee, to be able to do the flags to the same level as we have previously. That and the next item, the 497, the horticultural expenses, that's remained flat over this year. It was reduced last year, and it meant when we had, you know, early on in the spring, especially when we had some of our flowers disappearing from pots around the downtown, we didn't have money to replace those. So we'll be in that same situation again next year. The 499 account is just sort of our miscellaneous materials for just daily activities. Everything you can think of comes out of this account. But this year we've added a specific item of Christmas decoration replacements. So obviously every year the Parks does a really nice job in decorating the downtown. But a lot of those decorations are starting to get a little worn out. So we've been given $4,000 to replace, you know, wreaths and bows and that sort of thing for the lamp posts and the trees in the downtown area.
It says they use 44,000. Yeah. Miscellaneous, is that?
So there's a couple of so the Bergman Park water line, that's gonna be coming out of that account still. There is, at the end of the year, we always have to have a company come in and grind our wood material, and that's a big chunk that gets taken out of that account as well. It's upwards of $20,000 bill for that every year. So that money's, it's there now, but by the end of the year, it probably will not be.
It'll be down there.
Yeah. Next account, tree maintenance, 7120. Not much has changed in this account. One thing is our 299. That money is used for, chainsaws, pole saws, hand saws, replacement of those different saws that we use every year. This year in particular, or next year, I'm sorry, we would like to replace our chainsaws, at least a few of them. Most of them are 5+ years old and definitely ready for replacement. And that's something that the Parks Department is gonna try and get in, we're gonna try and get into more. It's the replacement of those small machines, that small equipment on a more regular basis. So even in the Parks Department budget, whether it's small push mowers or trimmers or things like that, we're gonna get into a rotation where we're changing a park or two every year. And then same with this account.
Where's the line for the trees? How much do we spend on trees?
So that's in the capital account, that'll be at the end, it's
I know
15,000.
some of them are you get through.
Yeah, that's a capital, yeah.
And the professional fees, what were they, what is that?
So our bucket trucks have to be certified every year. Dan can talk more about that.
We do dielectric testing, so we can work around the primaries with them. And then they also perform a PM inspection for us as well.
Mhm.
And,
Okay.
both trucks passed this year.
Yeah.
And then there's some additional money in there for, safety equipment, cones and, rakes, and just the 499 account, the kind of basic everyday catch-all.
Has there ever been discussion about outsourcing some of this tree work? Would we save money doing that
No, we wouldn't.
by the time you pay salaries and everything that goes with it?
So our tree work is mostly done, in the winter when they're not plowing. So cold days when it's, when we're not plowing or salting, that's when the Parks Department does the tree work. Easy answer would be no, it would not be cheaper. I mean, those guys are out there and they do, how many tree takes down do you guys do a year?
Average about 300.
And those are large trees. I mean, and then they do the planting and all that. And it's also, all of our shops are union shops. So it's union work when it's a tree in the right of way. So we wouldn't be able to contract that work out.
With those removal numbers, we trim about 3,000 trees a year as well.
Yeah, so trim them for, for health of the tree, but also like safety of trucks and plows and damage to equipment and sidewalk panels and stuff like that. So we can skip that one. So city rec baseball program. We increased that a little bit because we would like to help provide some of the teams with, hats and socks, some pieces and parts of the uniforms. Currently, that account is basically used for baseballs, equipment, and then umpire fees. And by the time we spend that money, it's all gone. So we'd like a little bit of extra money in that account to help pay for some hats and socks for some of the players who aren't able to, or for a team that isn't able to get enough sponsorship money. Next account is 7210. So this is the stadium, Winter Park. As I'm sure you all know, we're gonna have another Babe Ruth World Series next year. So you'll see that this account, the money, the salaries and money is very similar to what it was last year because of that Babe Ruth World Series. There's a lot of extra manpower and time and cost that goes into the stadium on a World Series year. There's a couple of larger pieces of equipment that need replacing down there. So the 200 account equipment, the two large ones that we're looking to replace this year are the dugout floor mats and the large field tarps, and also pitchers mounted home plate tarps. They have holes in them and they need to be replaced. So that's included in this budget. In the 499 account, that's kind of, again, what we use for our basic everyday maintenance, everyday operations. A big thing that's taken out of that account is the Tarp Skunks lease, which is about $20,000 to $25,000 every year. But it also includes any field materials, miscellaneous supplies, any sprays or fertilizers we do on the field itself is included in that account. The next one would be the 7265. This one is, I think, similar to last year. Yeah, similar to last year, but it's basically just basic maintenance. It allows us to have a little bit of money if something goes wrong. But now, once we get to this time of the year, we will find a project that we can buy materials for and do a little bit of work in-house to upgrade something in that facility.
What's the situation with these?
Yeah,
What's that?
the lease.
For the ice arena. Ice rink.
The lease is still in effect with the Frewsburg Soccer Club right now. Not sure when it runs out. I think it's got another 2 years to it. So this time this winter, it'll be jam-packed with kids up there playing soccer, and I believe flag football to convert there as well this winter.
No, by any chance, off the top of your head, what we bring in for revenue on those leases?
Next to nothing on the ice rink, I believe. But it got us out for paying all the utilities, which is quite expensive to heat that building.
And they do like the cosmetic maintenance work on it.
They do all the cosmetic work up there, all the painting, minor plumbing, lighting, everything along those lines. They've gotten grants, the last couple of years and bought a few new heaters for the place. The lighting has been redone in the rink with grants they were able to obtain. One thing that is on our radar is upgrading the restrooms. Nothing's really handicap accessible. We've got a few that don't work. It's just old outdated plumbing.
The next account is the 7270. So these are the band shell concerts. The budget in this account allows us to do 4 concerts, have flags and banners in that area, and then also hire a porta potty for the concerts themselves. Next account is the 7557, which is the special programming, and the part for us is the historic marker program. For every year, we like to do a historic marker around the city. With the new historian, I believe we're still working on what it will be for this year, but we hope to continue that program going forward. Next account is the 8140 storm sewers. So this is one of the operations that we do every summer, whether it's maintenance of the storm sewer or putting in new lines where we know there's issues. We also have quite a bit of money in contractual services. So that's kind of broken down into 4 parts. One, it's just our basic everyday material costs to maintain our storm sewer, whether it's pipe or block or frame and grates. Another program that we've done that has been funded for the last couple of years is slip lining. We have a lot of old corrugated metal pipe throughout the city. It was put in 30 to 40 years ago. And with metal, it rusts out, especially where the water runs. So a lot of those pipes, the bottoms have rusted out completely. And this is kind of what we've talked about a couple times this year, where they're able to put in a pipe inside that pipe, flow it up, heat it up, and it cures into a new pipe, and it saves you from digging out that old pipe. We've had probably 4 or 5 sinkholes that we've had to replace through the city, nothing big, but through the city, that have been caused by rotting out corrugated metal pipe, and that's a huge cost. So the more we can do this, it's just preventative, and it will just save us money down the line. So another part of this budget is the engineering for the Shattuck Channel Maintenance Project. We are still just moving forward on that project. We have had an engineer working on getting permits from the DEC for, I believe, 3 or 4 years now. They are very close. The questions have gotten much fewer, and we hope by the spring we'll be able to have permits to do that work. And then it's just a matter of funding it.
Where is that on the?
So there are 2 places. It's the channels off of Jones and Gifford.
Okay.
And then it is also the channels off of what would be like the bike path. So 10th, 11th, 18th Street, those ditches. They're all in wetlands. So anything we do there has to be permitted, and we have to submit plans and do wetland restoration work and that kind of thing. And then the big money item in that account is the match for the Middlebrook culvert construction. So the city of Jamestown got a $1.5 million grant through Bridge New York to replace the culvert, the Middlebrook culvert, which is off of Water Street. The estimate for that project is about $1.8 million. So the city is responsible for the difference after that. Whatever the project costs over that 1.5 million, the city is responsible for. So that's where that 350,000 is for. The next account is street cleaning, and that is 8170. This one is very similar. We've, been able to monitor. This is the first year that we've kind of been keeping track of what we're actually spending on street cleaning. So you notice the salary line is much different than last year. It's just we adjusted it to match kind of what we're actually doing there. And then the last one is the capital account, which is the 955-1. So I handed out a sheet before we started that has all of the equipment that the DPW and the parks has. It's a total of about $7.6 million worth of equipment. Currently, around $5 million of it is, past when we should be replacing our equipment. So we would do that typically through the capital budget, or we've been lucky enough to receive enough CHIPS money over the past couple of years to be able to buy, a truck, a salt truck, or a plow truck here and there. But departments like the Parks Department aren't eligible for CHIPS money. Their equipment can't be bought with CHIPS money. So it is always important to continue as much as we can to fund equipment purchased through the city's budget. This is also where the tree inventory is paid for, is through the capital budget, and there's $15,000 in there for that. The other large item in that budget is the HVAC controls for this building, the Parks Department building, and the DPW building. It's a very old system on a computer that is now no longer supported. So we definitely need to invest in a new HVAC control system. The plan right now is to kind of target this project towards the end of next year. So we're paying out half this year and half next year. The proposal we've gotten was for $330,000. We're obviously going to, bid that around, put out a contract or use state contracts and get that down as much as we can. But that's the budget number that we have to work with. And that's it. Nothing.
And how many trees do you get for $15,000?
Trees are about $100 a piece, give or take. That price keeps going up. We used to, 6 years ago, buy crab apples and the smaller variety of trees for about $60, $70. They're upwards of $115, $125 right now. We've gone to mostly 98%, I'd say, bare root. to try to save money that way instead of buying big bulb and burlap trees and then you're paying for all that shipping and everything else. We've also been the last few years actually sending our guys out in the trailer to save on the shipping costs as well.
We do get money from, do we get some grant money?
We do get grant money, from the Jamestown School Forest Board. We'll be paying for the trees that we plant on the schools. JCC reimburses us whatever we plant down there. And then the community foundation, if we're able to put on a special project, is always more than willing to jump in. And we have, kind of a rainy day fund with the Woodland Forestry Fund that is managed through the community foundation.
Mark, these red numbers on that last sheet, you made it out.
So
That
those,
replacement cost?
yes, so those are the pieces of equipment that are basically past when we should have replaced them by.
The number represents.
Represents what it would cost to replace it today, yes.
I know I said
Are they put in order of, or in particular order?
It's the numbers that we have on our trucks, yeah.
I know in years past, I mean, I will say that it's not as red as it used to be. It's
Yeah.
still pretty
I
red.
saw old ones, yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
because of some of the ARPA funds that we had, we were purchasing things, I mean, obviously, it looks like parks is more red than black.
Like I said, in the last couple of years, we've been fortunate enough to be able to purchase some equipment for the streets department with CHIPS money, but parks cannot do that.
No.
I mean, I know in years past, we've always asked for like a dire list, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Okay.
the- If you had to buy one or two pieces of equipment, what's the thing you need the most right here in the near future? that's
And
not-
we can provide that if
You
it's
know, I
something.
mean, I
we
know
want.
in years past, we have used some contingency money,
Mhm.
you know, if it's that much of an emergency, we need something for the winter, we need something to get through.
Mhm.
You know, we've been able to at least purchase one or two pieces here or there that, you know, putting those in order of what would be necessary for you guys.
You know, we can do that. I know, when we were putting the budget together, we put a priority list of, these are the 5 things from each department that we would want replaced in order, kind of thing.
Mark, on the mayor's budget, she has $120,000 for DPW parks equipment. Is
Yes.
that Any of these things?
I mean, yeah, that's what we would use it for. So if the 120 stays in there and we can use it for DPW parks, we would sit down as a team and decide,
Prioritize.
yeah, and figure out what we could spend that money on.
Not a lot.
No,
Look at the
no.
prices.
And the unfortunate thing with equipment now is the lead time is so much. A new truck is, you know, 18 months.
Like right now, if you
Yeah.
if you had to get something for the winter, you're not gonna get it.
You're gonna get it for 2028. The winter round, yeah.
Do they want the money up front?
Some parts of it, it depends on the truck, but we've found that we can save money if we're able to, if we pay for the cab while it's sitting at the bodybuilder. But it might sit there for, 8 to 12 months sometimes, so
Yeah.
we are sometimes hesitant to do that as well.
In a perfect world, I'd love to see this all black
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
someday.
I don't think it'll ever happen. I know.
It's frustrating, I mean, you look at what, 5 million there?
It's seven, I think I misspoke, it's,
Yeah.
I misspoke, it's 7,000,000, 7.6 to replace everything that needs it.
Any other questions? Mark? Dan?
Overtime for leaf collection, is that, pretty much the same every year?
Yeah, so, there are the DPW employees, so streets and fleet get a guaranteed 16 hours of overtime over whatever that is, 8 days. So they get an hour of overtime every day that we do leaf collection. And we guarantee them a certain number of those hours over the course of it, which I believe is 16 hours.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay,
good.
thank you.